be looking to make an impact late in the game. Melbourne on screen there, wearing the pink for Pink Lady tonight, recognising breast cancer patients, are looking for a big win after a really bad performance last week against Freo. They're a young side, they've improved a lot, but do you think that's going to be enough to knock off the superstar Swans lineup tonight, Tom?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. I think you're right. The D's were pretty disappointing against Fremantle last week, and Paul Roos, the coach, came out and said as much. He'll be expecting a much bigger performance this week. They're at home on the MCG, their own turf. A big ask coming up against, as you said, the grand finalists from last year, but let's see how they go.
Here we are, the first bounce. Ruckman fly. Spencer wins the tap in the team tonight for Melbourne. Sydney with a quick clearance. They're the clearance kings in the AFL.
Hey, settle down, boys, settle down.
Loose ball here on the half-forward flank. First man there is Reid, back in the team tonight. Gets a handball off to Hanbury, but that's an ill-directed kick straight into the arms of the Melbourne defence. And the Melbourne defence are really going to have a big ask tonight. Sydney have got a superstar forward line.
Good to see Jesse Hogan flying high for that early contest. He's actually #1 in the AFL for contested marks at the moment, so they'll be wanting a big impact from him tonight.
There's a quick kick there from Spencer. Great tackle there from the Sydney Swans. Immense pressure here. They're really looking to bounce back. Finally, the ball's over the boundary line. Jay Kennedy-Harris probably had a chance to take a chest mark and have a shot at goal there. See here on the replay. Just went straight through his hands, hit him on the noggin. He won't be happy with that. That could have been a great start there for the D's. Mike Pike there, the Canadian, wins the tap out for Sydney. Nothing much happening, and we'll have another ball up. Number 42 there for Melbourne, Jake Spence, has been brought back into the team to lead the ruck at the expense of Mark Jamar. Bit of a scrap here. As we said, there's been a bit of rain in Melbourne today. It'll be greasy conditions out there on the MCG.
Yeah, we just saw that first contest with Kennedy-Harris. Obviously just didn't quite get the hands behind the ball, and often when the ball is wet, you've just got to get your thumbs a little bit closer together to make sure that you can at least keep the ball in front of you, Jason. Unfortunately, Kennedy-Harris went straight through and copped it in the face.
Buddy Franklin tried to charge through, but it's been a turnover. Vandenberg lines up for goal. He's just offline. Melbourne first on the board there. They lead 1 point to nothing.
Vandenberg's been handy for them this year. He's right up there on disposal count for Melbourne, averaging 17 a game. Young player, but nice to be on the scoreboard early. I've liked this early movement from Melbourne. They've been relatively, they had that nice movement from half-back, direct. Good start.
Sydney captain Kieran Jack has passed it in here to Tom Mitchell. He goes back, drives it long down the wing. Interesting attempt there from Salem. Lumumbu charging through. Melbourne captain Nathan Jones with a handball over his head. Kennedy couldn't get it out. There's a scramble kick forward for Melbourne. Great hit up there by Hogan. Gets the quick handball off. Ben Newton, the former Port Adelaide player, just kicks it along the ground into the forward line. That's mopped up by Grundy. Gets it over to Shaw. Quick handball. Ben McGlynn can't do much with it. Good pressure there from Melbourne, and we'll have another boundary throw-in.
Good to see Hogan in amongst this play in his first few minutes. It's good to see him lively up at half forward. Interesting there that Newton didn't really have anything down deep in the forward line. Dawes was there, but Sydney had a couple of spare players, so they're going to have to try and find some space in against this really solid Sydney defence. Good
clearance there for Hanbury. Gains a little bit of territory along the boundary line, and we'll have another throw-in. 2.5 minutes into the first quarter here at the MCG. That man on screen, number 4 for Sydney, Dan Hanbury. He's a real key mover in the engine room for the Sydney Swans.
Interesting to see a couple of these matchups around the stoppage. Cross going to Hanbury. Jones and Jack spending a bit of time against each other. It's two superstars, each captain of each side, really playing head-to-head. That'll be
Gets a strong mark and drives Sydney into the forward line. Parker looks like he's being held onto. Garland all over him there. Garland and Parker still competing for the ball. Tippett picks it up. He's lost it. Lumumbu now. Melbourne finally clear through Bernie Vince, the former Crow. Foot race is on here. Sydney work it out. Mike Pike has a chance to kick a goal for the Swans. That's a great kick there by the big Canadian, Mike Pike.
Fantastic composure from Pike there. Used his body well to draw the Melbourne enough to get it straight back to Pike, and couldn't believe how much space he had inside 50. The big ruckman, he's not used to wandering into goals like that, but kept his calm, kicked it straight through the middle, and really a great start for Sydney after a bit of a scrappy first 5 minutes, Jace.
Yeah, certainly been a bit scrappy, and Melbourne just made the mistake there that the two defenders were both drawn to Gary Rowan, which left Mike Pike all on his own. He's a big ruckman, nothing comes easy for these guys, but he managed to kick that through from a pretty tight angle. He'll be very happy with that start.
Yeah, so it's going to be a tough night for Jack Spencer this week. He's come in for Mark Yamar, who's the more experienced ruckman. And he's a big body, but Mike Pike certainly established himself as a true, genuine star of the AFL and already on the scoreboard early.
Pike won the tap down there to Parker, but there's a free kick being pulled out here for Melbourne. Lumumbu now drives them into the forward line, just over the head of Jesse Hogan. And that's a nice safe mark there from Jeremy Laidler. He kicks it in short. Sydney now switching to the outer side. Heath Grundy has the ball at half back. They're just holding play up a little bit here, waiting for something to open up. One of their key playmakers with the ball now, Lewis Jetta. Kicks it out wide, but that's far too wide for his teammate there, and it's out of bounds on the full. It'll be a free kick to Chris Dawes. Melbourne will be looking to make something from this forward entry. Dawes plays on quickly, gets the handball out. Another handball out there to Ben Newton. They're just messing around with it a little bit here, Melbourne. Jones with the ball now, but they've probably lost 30, 40 metres here. They've retreated right back into their defensive 50. That's a risky kick out to a 50-50. Reid gets the handball there for Jimmy Tumpus. Over to Vandenberg. He gets the handball to Lumumbu, just shrugs the tackle twice, gets the handball off, but the pressure here from Sydney's intense. Stretch just couldn't get away. Lays a tackle now on Mike Pike. But the umpire's going to come in and call a ball up here.
Good to see Stretch involved early. As you said, Jace, debutant, playing on the biggest ground in the AFL at the MCG. He'll have a few nerves early, but I like that aggression. A few contested balls early, a couple of tackles. Sell the nerves a little bit.
Pike wins the hit out again. Lumumbu shrugging tackles left, right and centre. Vince with a tumbly old kick down in Jesse Hogan's direction. He taps it on toward the boundary line. Chris Dawes eventually takes it over. We'll have a boundary throw in 50 metres out from Melbourne's attacking end. Melbourne's had the ball in their forward half a lot here, but haven't been able to capitalise so far.
Struggling to find a target inside 50 at the moment. There's been a few times we saw they had to go backwards all the way back to centre half back. There's no easy leads inside 50, and they're really going to have to try and find some space in amongst all these spare Sydney players. Might have a chance here.
Quick kick in there by Brayshaw, but it's mopped up by Teddy Richards. Swans with a clearing kick again, but only as far as Christian Salem. First-year player for Melbourne. He's really been a solid contributor for them. Now needs to find a target in the forward line. What's he got here? Again, Sydney back in numbers. Dane Rampy dropped the mark. Grundy cleans up behind him. Gets it over to McVeigh. Now the Swans look to clear, although they've been held up well here by Melbourne, just boxing them in the forward line. Finally, a short little kick there. Finds Jake Lloyd. He in turn goes short up to Ben McGlynn, former Hawthorn player. He kicks it out wide to Isaac Heaney. Been a rookie revelation for the Swans. Product of the Sydney Swans Academy. McVeigh now down the wing. Great kick to Buddy Franklin. That's fantastic movement there by the Sydney Swans. Franklin looking for a target, but this is probably just about in range for him. He's got a booming kick on him. And it looks like he'll go back and line up for the Swans second.
Yeah, I think he'll back himself from here, Jason. Wouldn't be surprised to see him almost take a couple of quick steps to the left and almost play on, but you see there, 10-7, he's a fantastic long shot at goal, so I expect him to pop this through.
Comes on his trademark arc on the left foot, kicks it up to the goal line, just off direction. Parker flew in there with got a hand to it, but it's rushed over for one behind.
And we just saw there that Sydney had so much more space inside 50 there. They had options. Franklin had 10 metres on McDonald to get a lead and had the space.
Lyndon Dunn goes the torpedo there from fullback. That is a fantastic kick. Bernie Vince with courage. And his old teammate at the Crows, Kurt Tippett, lined him up there, took him late. Looks like it's hurt him a little bit, Bernie Vince. Probably no love lost between those two.
decent collision. He's holding his ribs there, Vince. We'll just keep an eye on that. He's an important part of their midfield. Don't want an injury early.
Here's Jetta for the Swans. Probably the quickest player in the AFL. It's dangerous here if he's running in free space. Gets a short kick in. He was looking for McGlynn. Missed the target, though. He'll be disappointed with that. And now Bernie Vince will look to clear again for Melbourne.
Great kick from Vince.
Really good kick there, under pressure. Found his teammate Cameron Peterson. Former North Melbourne player, now a key part of the Melbourne backline. That's a cute little kick up to Jimmy Tumpus. Here goes Melbourne. They've got a bit of space here. Numbers on in the middle. Should be looking to switch, Vince. Goes instead straight down the middle, finds a target in Vandenberg. Vandenberg has teammate out wide.
Good kick. Howe's still got some time, though.
Howe now. Short little kick. Was that 15? The umpire says it was. And Billy Stretch, the debutant, he's going to go back, possibly with his first kick in league footy, and kick his first goal.
Well, how exciting for young Billy Stretch. Come over on the father-son rule.
Wouldn't this be a fairy tale start for him? Son of former Melbourne superstar Stephen Stretch. Playing in his first game, young 18-year-old. What a moment. What a moment for the whole Stretch family. Looks good off the boot. Crowd likes it. That's a great kick there. Stretch covered himself in glory and puts Melbourne on the board. Scores a level at the MCG.
Fantastic stuff for the young bloke. How good's that? Got in amongst it early. First 10 minutes of the game. Your AFL debut, Saturday night football at the MCG. Straight into it, and there you are. That's AFL footy these days. He gets a goal, gets the adrenaline pumping, and straight to the bench for a rest, Jason. Don't know if that's the best way to deal with it, but all the clubs seem to do it these days. But a really good start for him, really exciting. You just hear the applause as he comes off the ground. Fantastic for Melbourne, and they draw a level at 7 points apiece.
What a way to settle your nerves in your first game. And he joins an illustrious club of players who have kicked a goal with their first kick.
Straight up.
He'll be pumped up, and that's a great start for the young fella. But importantly for Melbourne, draws them back level on the scoreboard. Spencer wins that tap down.
The man, Sydney.
That was in the back there on Hanbury. Umpire's paid a free kick. Hanbury's looking to move it on quickly. He's got McVeigh running out wide. McVeigh sells a bit of candy there to Jimmy Tumpus. And that's a beautiful kick there. Tom Mitchell found a bit of space in the forward 50. Might be just outside his range here. He's look, pops it up at the top of the square. Franklin at the back, couldn't get a run at it, but Tippett comes off his shin, but that's good enough. Opportunistic goal there for Kurt. Kick their second. Paul Roos will not be happy with that, the Melbourne coach.
Yeah, we hate to be critical, but just saw, hopefully we get a replay. Tom McDonald there had almost an easy uncontested marking opportunity, and Jake Spencer, his teammates, come across to try and do the big thump through the sticks for a rush behind. He's ended up just spoiling it out of McDonald's hands. It's fallen into Tippett's lap, and he's been the beneficiary, but Tommy McDonald didn't look too happy there as a key defender. That's one against him, but Spencer's just got to be a little bit smarter. But great reflexes by Tippett to slam it on the left boot.
You like that as a key forward. You're not going to get an easier goal than that in your career. Back in the middle now. Bit of holding between the ruckman there. The umpire's given a free kick to the big Melbourne ruckman, Spencer. Looked like there was a bit of holding both ways there, but he's decided it's Melbourne's free. Jones switches play out to Lumumbu on the wing. Former Collingwood speedster. Switched over to Melbourne this year. That was a nice kick, but Brayshaw wasn't able to hold on to it, and now there's a turnover, and this is very dangerous. Buddy Franklin's worked Lumumbu under the ball. There's a foot race on here. Franklin wins it, kicks it into the forward line. Tippett all over the defender there. Umpire doesn't pay it. Now this could be holding the ball against Tippett. He's been wrapped up by Lyndon Dunn. The umpire calls the ball up. The Melbourne crowd doesn't like it. You can hear the boos in the background. Pike, clever tap down there. Kieran Jack was running past, but Melbourne, through Tom McDonald, clear the ball. Skipper Jones doesn't quite know what to do there. Eventually, Billy Stretch concedes it behind. All sorts of pressure there on the defenders, and they decided that the behind was the best option. Quick kick in there from Dunn. Goes long to a 2-on-1. Ball comes out the back. Jimmy Tumpus has 3-4 Swans against him. He'll be doing well to hold it up here. Jed has got him wrapped up. And he's got him holding the ball. Was always going to be battling there, Jimmy Toumpas, in a nest of Swans, and eventually he lost out.
Demons just need to settle down a little bit. That kick from Dunn was probably a bit of a dangerous one. Had a lot of airtime and it allowed a lot of Sydney players to be able to get there and make a contest. Toumpas under a lot of pressure on that wing. And I think we've seen a free kick against again. It's Tippett.
Yes, Tippett came in from behind there. Bit unlucky for Lyndon Dunn. I don't think he saw Tippett coming. Collected him high. Definitely a free kick. He's up against it tonight, Lyndon Dunn. He's definitely outsized against big Kurt Tippett, the former basketballer.
A bit unlucky there, Dunn, but contact was there. It was incidental, but it definitely impeded Tippett on the marking contest. And, well, he's not overly great when they're close in, Tippett, but he's usually a bit better at shots on goal from a further distance. Let's see how he goes with this one.
Yeah, this is definitely the weak point in his game, Kurt Tippett. But nothing wrong with that one. Kicks it straight through the big sticks. And that's another goal for the Swans. They're out to a dangerous 13-point lead here.
Dunn's complaining that he's touched that.
Yeah, he thinks he has. Looks like the umpire might go to a review here.
You're saying you touched off the mark.
He's convinced. I'll tell you what, that bottom left camera angle looks pretty close to his hand. Dunn was absolutely convinced, pleading with the umpire.
It happens every goal. It's nothing to be worried about.
It's difficult to tell, though, and they do have to be absolutely sure that it was touched to be able to overturn the decision.
Yeah, it's very tough to tell just using video footage whether he's touched it. I think Lyndon Dunn's probably always going to claim he touched that one. Even if he got a faint nick on it, it's going to be very difficult to overturn that goal. Back in the middle, Pike wins the tap down. Hanbury, quick hands out to Kennedy. Back to Grundy. That was a good clearance there for the Swans. Heaney in front of Salem, and he earns a free kick for a high tackle.
Sloppy there from Salem. He's better in those one-on-one marking contests, especially 50 metres out.
A bit of a wasted opportunity there for Heaney. Went the short option, but Jeremy Howe was wise to it and got a big fist in and punched it out over the boundary line. We'll have another boundary throw in.
Yeah, interesting seeing Howe playing in the back lines these days. He was their leading goal kicker in 2013, but Roos sort of invented him as a half-back last year. He's doing a seriously good job of it and still flying for those trademark high marks that Jeremy Howe is well and truly known for.
Swans working hard to get it in their forward line. Eventually do through Lloyd. Tippett couldn't take it. Wraps up Salem in a tackle.
Ben, let's go.
Not much he could do there to get the ball out, and the umpire will throw it up once more.
1 metre, boys. Come on.
Melbourne need to be careful here. They don't allow Sydney to get a clearance. And an easy shot at goal. Stretch with a kick out. Probably did just enough there. Looks like we'll get another boundary throw in. Young Billy Stretch has had a pretty good start in his first game here.
Yeah, great for him to start on the ground as well. Often we see debutants with the vest on the substitute bench early on in the game, and it's a bit hard to get in. You've got all this adrenaline and the nerves are pumping, but Stretch has really made an impact this first quarter, which is great as we see the Swans drive forward again. Rowan not quite able to reach it.
Kennedy gets the clearance out. Jones picks up the...
Stretch again.
Be Stretch again. He's probably leading the way here for the Demons in the early stages. He'll go back and look to just calm things down a little bit.
McDonald in pressure here. Great tackle by Rowan. Umpires called play on. Tommy McDonald under a lot of pressure.
Just didn't have any awareness about him there, Tom McDonald. Bit slow. Look at him here, just get run down by Gary Rowan. Very lucky not to be called holding the ball there.
You can see just up the ground, though, he didn't have any spare players to kick to. Melbourne, really, the forwards have got to get some space in between them and the Swans defenders to be able to give their...
Pike there with a scrubber kick. Great pick up by Kennedy. Jack fumbled when he really needed to have a shot at goal there. Swan still with possession. Parker snaps it around the body. 3 Melbourne players queuing up for it. And Lumumbu takes an uncontested mark. Look at those inside 50s there. It's all Sydney Swans at the moment. Lumumbu clears it out. That looked like good body work there. Melbourne are just going to settle it down. 6 minutes here till quarter time. Tyson kicks it up long. Looked like a bit of shepherding there, but umpires let it go. McVeigh now for the Swans. Kicks it back toward the 50-metre line. Rowan was up. Salem gets the crumb. Lumumbu now tried to shrug that tackle, but he wasn't going anywhere. Good work there by Parker, and the umpire will come in and ball it up again.
1 metre.
Lumumbu just holding his shoulder there. Parker really dumped him into the turf. Pike, great tap down. Swans in, almost a great one-hander there for Josh Kennedy. Melbourne with possession. That's a high tackle surely there on McGlynn. Still got the ball, no free kick. Now he's been stripped by Salem. Newton now, errant handball. Jetta's got it for Sydney. Reid just overran the ball a little bit. Good work in there by Vandenberg for Melbourne. Jetta in there once again.
Oh, it's intense football at the moment. No one with a clear possession. See what Rampy can do. Drives it inside 50 and
Clever
smart kick. Great ball by Howe though.
That was really well done there by Howe. Looked like Kennedy was going to take a chest mark, but he just managed to reach around with his get a fist in there. Here's that high tackle on McGlynn. Certainly got him high. He made a bit more of it than was probably there. Still probably unlucky not to get a free kick. Melbourne under all sorts of pressure here. Tap down by Spencer. Jack couldn't get the ball out for Sydney. Pike slaps it out of there. First to the ball is Garland for Melbourne. Quick snap out. Just trying to clear the pressure here. And Melbourne will be happy with that. Got it outside of Sydney's attacking 50, and eventually Ted Kennedy saw it over the boundary line.
Swats the front hitters.
Yeah, the Swans just starting to get ascendancy at the moment. Up on the disposals count, up on the marks. Melbourne just need a little gift here just to get them driving forward again.
Yeah, it seems a long time since Melbourne have had it in their forward 50. McVeigh once again stops a forward foray for Melbourne. Nick Smith handballs it off. Grundy kicks it out wide. Lloyd now, short kick into McVeigh. Reece Shaw, sorry. Shaw now just looking for an option. Decides to go long in the Kurt Tippett direction.
Spencer.
And that was a great option. That had Tippett's name written all over it. No Melbourne player really competing. Tippett just lost his man there and had a free run at the ball. The big guy, he's a...
From the big man, he was sitting in that hole, had a long time to get ready for that kick coming in from Shaw, and Tippett's got a chance to kick his second now.
Yeah, he met the ball at its highest point there, Tippett.
Third, in fact.
-19-point lead here. 3.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. That really is a brilliant start by Kurt Tippett. Melbourne, they've got a lot of work to do if they're going to keep themselves in this game early.
Well, you're right, Jason. When we spoke about the Melbourne defence being under the pump from the tools, and Buddy Franklin hasn't had much of the ball, but Kurt Tippett already free. Danger signs for Paul Roos.
Saw Chris Dawes there coming back onto the ground for Melbourne. Don't think he's had a touch yet. That was a really good kick there by Rampy into the forward line, and as we saw, Tippett was able to take a nice strong mark and finish, and here he is in the ruck now, Tippett. Up against Peterson for Melbourne, 2 second-string ruckmen. Vandenberg with a scrubber kick out in the forward direction for Melbourne. Brayshaw slid him well, copped one high for his troubles.
Thanks, boys. Thanks, boys.
But Rampy ends up with the ball, and we'll have another ball up here, about 65 metres out from Melbourne's goal. Tippett wins the tap again down to Jack. Good clearance. That was really good vision there to Sam Reid. String of handballs here for Sydney. Ends up with Jetta. He gets a nice short kick in there to Gary Rowan. McVeigh now kicks it up towards Kennedy. And Franklin rolls past all of them. And eventually McDonald gets a quick kick out. Not quite where he wanted it, but Garland manages to recover. Almost kicked it backwards there, but got what he wanted out of it, and it's back over the boundary.
Melbourne defence really, really under pressure here. Sydney Swans just streaming inside 50 with a lot of ease across that midfield. Not a lot of pressure on the kicks coming in. Melbourne have really got to tighten up.
Tippett takes it out of the ruck.
Right there, Kurt.
You're not allowed to do that. If you take the ball on the full and you get possession out of the ruck, it's automatically holding the ball, and Tippett's been penalised there. But Melbourne just can't seem to break through this halfway line. Kieran Jack once again. Good handball there to the running Reece Shaw. Just manages to evade a tackle. Mitchell now concedes some territory back to McVeigh. McVeigh, short kick, finds Jack. I'm not sure that's who he was planning to find. But the Swans will take it, and Kieran Jack, the Sydney Swans co-captain, he drives it in forward. Looked to be a bit of holding on there. The umpire's called it.
I thought you did.
It's going to be a free kick here to the first-year player, Isaac Heaney. Not much in that. Drives it in long. That's better from the Melbourne defence. Good strong mark there from Peterson, who I think is actually playing in the ruck now, but dropped back well into the defence. And they need all the help they can get back there at the moment, Melbourne.
Yeah, that's the impact they want from that ruckman playing back. You've really got to impact every single aerial contest as it comes in high, and Pearson's done a much better job than that Spencer so far. So
Jetta once more puts the afterburners on, drives it forward into the Sydney line, but Peterson once again, that's 2 marks in a minute, really doing the job his coach has asked of him.
This is the important part for Melbourne now. They need to get some spare players across the middle of the ground to give their half-backers a release kick. You can see Jones working hard, but there's nothing up the ground.
Tyson, nothing doing for him up the ground there. Forced to play on eventually. Kicks it on the right, but straight to a Sydney player. Parker takes an easy mark, gets it onto McGlynn. McGlynn drives it into Buddy Franklin, all on his own. Easy mark, and that'll be 50 metres. No, the umpire hasn't paid it.
Land straight back. Mark's here.
But you've got to wonder, how does a superstar of the competition, Lance Franklin, end up with so much room in the forward line?
We can see McDonald stream back now. McDonald's actually trying to run up the ground and give his half-backers a release kick. He's third in the Melbourne team for average possessions per week, and he does get a lot of the ball and provides options. And there's been a couple of times now when he's just been absolutely let down by his teammates not being able to find a clear option, and he's just got burnt on the transition, and Franklin's probably going to get a kick.
Franklin, oh, he's hit the post. He's an enigmatic kick for goal, and he proved it there. You back him from 50, but sometimes you wouldn't from 15, and he showed us why there.
Now, I feel sorry for Tommy McDonald, though. He's doing the right thing, trying to get his team going and making Franklin accountable. I mean, Franklin's a superstar, but he's not necessarily known for chasing his defender out of the back line.
Here he is again, McDonald. Got the mark in the back pocket for Melbourne. Once again, no options for him up forward. It's really stagnant. Hogan, under all sorts of pressure there from Ted Richards, managed to get a hand to the ball, but it's just over the boundary line. And there's no flow to the game here for Melbourne. Sydney's manning them up well, but the Melbourne forwards need to push up the ground and create some options. As Vince gets a quick kick out. Again, it's a real fumbly forward movement here. Brayshaw with another tumble punt. Only as far as Ted Richards, and that'll do us for the first quarter here at the MCG. It's been all the Sydney Swans so far. They're out to a 20-point margin here at quarter time. Big first quarter for Kurt Tippett. Join us after the break as we see if Melbourne can make a comeback in the second quarter.
To the Sydney Swans, 7 to Melbourne in the forward half, and we saw that stat come up in the first 6 minutes, I think it was, Jason, and it was completely in Melbourne's favour. So really, since that sort of after the first quarter of the first quarter, it was all Sydney's way, and Melbourne really needed to start getting some fast ball movement in this second quarter to get back on the scoreboard.
Best way to do that is to win it out of the centre. Here we are now. Spencer gets the tap down. Kennedy, though, gets the clearance. Back to Pike. Little tumble kick up to Heaney. Jack, that's a clever little soccer forward. Gary Rowan runs onto it. Buddy Franklin now in the box seat. Good defence there. Looked like he was going to get the ball, but McDonald spoiled it. Good chance there for the Swans in the end, but Colin Garland concedes it behind.
Yeah, good battle there. We love that. The full forward on the full back, one-on-one inside forward 50, and McDonald very nearly got outstretched by Buddy Franklin's long arms, but good enough to just tap it away. Great contest early.
Yeah, much better for McDonald there. Spencer here gets a free kick. They really need him to stand up in the ruck today. He's got a big job against Mike Pike. Handball out to Salem. Looked like a bit of shepherding again there, but Dom Tyson takes the easy mark. Kicks it back in the middle to Lumumbu. Melbourne are looking to switch play here.
This is a key movement for Melbourne. Good mark there from Stretch, but it was a tough one again. They just can't get an easy kick forward.
That was a pinpoint kick and it needed to be. Stretch goes long now towards Chris Dawes. That's about the first time we've seen Chris Dawes tonight, but probably not his fault. The ball just hasn't been in the forward line. As we see Adam Goods here, the Sydney Swans former captain and superstar, sitting on the bench waiting for his opportunity to come on as a substitute. And Jack Watts is the other sub for Melbourne. Two interesting choices there. Bit of a scrap. Jones with the ball. Kennedy gets the handball out to Lloyd. Cut off there by Melbourne, and that looked like it was in the back from Hanbury. The umpires paid a free kick here to Melbourne. Melbourne really need to get some scoreboard pressure happening here. Bit of a high looping kick into the forward line. Bit of a kick and hope, I think. Comes down to ground.
Just spoiling each other there again. Again, the Melbourne players had their own teammate being the worst enemy in that contest, and it's just absolutely yo-yoed back inside 50 to Sydney.
Parker, good clearance out to Franklin. He gets a kick around the body towards Tippett. It's cleared back towards Buddy Franklin once more. Socket it straight to the Melbourne captain. Jones gets it to Vince. Vince with a little bit of time. Handball put his teammate under pressure, but good enough to get it on. And that's a good kick up there to Jesse Hogan. Finally a mark by one of Melbourne's forwards. He wheels around quickly. Just tries to mop up. But once again, Melbourne aren't able to get a shot on goal. Peterson died for that mark, but just in front of him, tantalisingly so.
Better movement from the D's there, though. They'll be happier with that. Good to see the ball in Hogan's arms.
Sydney with the clearance again. Cut off there by Garlett. Shaw steals it from him. Bit of pinball going on there.
That's a throw.
Umpires picked out a throw here against Melbourne. Just when it looked like they were going to get a clear forward entry.
Stay there, Hero. Great.
It's against Daniel Cross. Let's have a look here. Looked like he might have got a fist of the ball. A little bit unlucky there. Rowan now up at half forward for Sydney. Gets it back. Jack with a quick kick on the left. Tippett fighting to get in front position, but that was good blocking work there by Lyndon Dunn. Allowed McDonald to take the mark. That's a risky kick towards Hogan. Hanbury cut it off. Hogan hands to Lumumbu, off to Jones. Running through the middle now. Needs to find a teammate, and he does. Three Sydney players. Not sure about that kick, but Garlett managed to draw a free kick. He'll go back and line up for 30 metres. Really sloppy play there from Sydney. Grundy didn't need to do that. Garlett might have just dropped the knees a little bit there. And Grundy collected him around the head.
That's your line, Jeff.
Yeah, a bit lazy there from Grundy, but Garlett will be happy with that freebie. He's been very quiet. This is actually going to be his first possession for the game after kicking 3 against Fremantle last week, and in fact kicking half of the Demons' score. He's been their leading goal kicker this year, but we know that the Swans have got some really tight checking defenders, and I think that Nick Smith will be absolutely spewing if Jeff Garlett kicks this goal, as he has.
Oh, no, he hasn't, Tom.
Called it
just offline.
He's faded late there. Struggled to make the distance from 40 there, Garlett.
Yeah, he's normally a bit of a sharpshooter, really dangerous forward. He's had some big nights out in his Carlton days. Now here with Melbourne, they need him to really light up the MCG tonight if they're going to have a chance of getting back in this game. We see Reid now for Sydney. Short kick into Kennedy. Sydney just trying to pick their way through the Melbourne zone here. That was touch there. Doesn't matter for Gary Rowan though, he's got plenty of time. Drives it long into the forward line, into space. Who's going to get there first? Looks like Parker's onto it. Lumumbu wraps him up. Throw there from Parker. Tippett gets it out to McGlynn. Smothered off the boot. Sydney pressing, looking for that goal, but good work in the end there from the Melbourne defence. They managed to hold it up, and we'll have another ball up. Just that transition there, so much easier for Sydney from defence than what we're finding for Melbourne.
Yeah, absolutely right. He's got a lot more options across that half-forward line, which just gives their defenders an easy kick moving forward.
Another ball up here. Melbourne can ill afford a score here for Sydney. This next goal is pretty crucial in the context of the game. Bit of relief here, holding the man decision. Dom Tyson will take the free kick. Relieve a little bit of pressure there for Melbourne. Goes in short. Geez, needed to hit the target there. Only just. Salem did well to take the mark down low. Once again, not much space upfield there for Melbourne. There's a lot of Sydney players blocking it up. Decides to go long. That's a good lead and mark there for Dawes. They need more of that. Shocking kick. Turnover. McGlynn lines up. Doesn't make him pay. Kicks it out of bounds on the full, in fact. But that was just not clever play there from Chris Dawes.
To your left, mate, to your left.
Very lucky. Didn't cost them another goal for the Swans.
That's it now, lads.
Salem, another turnover. Melbourne's disposal efficiency is terrible here. Heaney now looking for a target, and he's found one. And Parker's going to line up and kick a goal, potentially here for the Swans.
And Paul Roos will be absolutely tearing his hair out up in the coach's box. That's two easy marks that the Melbourne players have had with an easy, unpressured decision to make, and they've just turned it directly over. If they're going to be doing that in AFL football, they're not going to be sticking around with the team for too long. And Roos, there's not much he can do up from the coach's box to fix that. That's just got to be a decision that an AFL standard player can make.
Parker lines up from 50, drives it long just off to the left, and that'll be another point for the Swans. And if there's one silver lining here for Melbourne, is that Sydney's just not making them pay for their mistakes. Dunn kicks it back in. Salem gets another chance here, decides to play on this time. Drives it long to the winging. Dawes competes well. Vandenberg, that's a throw. Jetta picks it up. Another forward entry here for Sydney. Franklin at the back. Good crumb there for McGlynn. He's going to run in and kick a goal for the Swans. Great work there from Ben McGlynn. And Melbourne finally made to pay for their sins. Sydney move out to a 27-point lead.
Well, just an awesome show of front and centre crumbing there from young Benny McGlynn. He's been doing it for years, 7th in their best and fairest last year. He's a really strong part of this Sydney team and just picked it up quick as a flash. Had a Melbourne player on his tail, but good enough to speed away, straighten up, get onto his right foot and kick it straight through. Loves those ones, Benny McGlynn. All smiles all round for the Sydney Swans. And they're building a handy little lead here, Jace.
Yeah, McGlynn, he's a really good crummer. You see the two big tall forwards there for Melbourne, for Sydney, sorry, Franklin and Tippett. McGlynn feeds off those crumbs all day. That's his bread and butter. Runs into an open goal, and Sydney, really, this is a dangerous lead now. Bit of a scramble in the middle. Finally cleared out to Ben Newton. Bit of an interesting kick there on the left. Bounces kindly. Brayshaw couldn't quite get the handball off.
Great tackle from Rampy there. Brayshaw had an easy handball there to a teammate who would have been running into a goal, and Rampy good enough to just lock his arms up, not get that handball away, and he saved a goal there for the Sydney Swans. Great defence.
Garland gets it to Salem. That's a better kick from him. Finds Dom Tyson here on the outer wing. Kicks it long, but again, no targets there for Melbourne. Jeremy Laidler able to cut it off. McVeigh gets his handball smothered. Goes back in to get the ball once more, but that's good work there from Garland. Eventually, Hanbury gets a handball out, and it's across the line once more.
Well, the D's need something from this stop. Show a flash of brilliance to be able to get them going forward and get their second goal. It's a little bit stagnant for them at the moment.
Yeah, nothing much happening at all for Melbourne. Sydney again with a clearance, killing him in there. Tom Mitchell now. Kicks it up towards Buddy Franklin. Can't win it this time. Jimmy Toompas got the handball out. Melbourne very happy to see another boundary throw in here. Hanbury wanted deliberate, but we'll have another throw in. Pike versus Spencer here in the ruck. No one really wins that one. Spencer does well, gets his ball back, gets it to Vince, drives it long. Once again, Sydney have set up the wall. They need their forwards pushing out to compete there, but that was just too easy for Nick Smith. He goes in short. Finds the last goal kicker, McGlynn. Good fist from Jeremy Howe there. Normally likes to fly and take a high mark. Follows it up. Great back defensive work. Hogan just manages to keep it in. But once again, no options. Ted Kennedy slaps it out of bounds.
But again, Howe did a great effort there in spoiling the ball and then following it up, but then he's missed an easy hit-up kick to Hogan. He had 5 metres on his opponent, Richards. Would have been an easy mark up on the wing, but instead it falls at Hogan's feet. He's under pressure, and it's a throw-in on centre wing. Melbourne just really being their own worst enemy at the moment. They really need to tighten up their skills if they're going to get back into this game.
There was high contact there, Bernie Vince. That's a bit dangerous. He might be reported for that contact. All over Tommy Mitchell's neck there. He was kind of going for the ball, but certainly collected him high. Mitchell takes the resulting free, kicks it up towards Tippett. 3 Melbourne players fly. Lumumbu, nice sidestep. Garland just has a little bit of a fumble there, allows Sydney back in. Lumumbu still in there fighting. Perhaps he's the sort of player that might be able to spark Melbourne. He's a real dashing player from halfback.
He's come out to 9 possessions now. Interesting, the top 3 possession getters for Melbourne, their half-back line in Salem, McDonald and Lumumba. They're the ones that are under pressure, but they're the ones getting the ball because there's just so many inside 50s coming forward with the Swans. Here we see another one.
Vince got the clearance there, but only as far as a Sydney player. Eventually, it's over the line once more, and it feels like we're having a lot of boundary throw-ins at the moment, Tom.
It's been a scrappy game, hasn't it, Jay? It's just hard to... Even though that Sydney have got the momentum, it's still not, convincing football and smooth football at the moment. A lot of balls, just stoppages and throw-ins and missed targets. Scrappy skills.
Hanbury drives Sydney back in towards Buddy Franklin. Once again, a one-on-one wrestle. Melbourne are able to clear now. Salem once more. He's had a lot of the ball. What can he do with it this time?
Needs to hit a target now, Salem. Really needs to find a teammate.
Did very well there. Gets it back once more. Once again, an ill-directed handball. Stretch this time, and it's those sort of disposals that Melbourne just need to nail if they're going to put any sort of pressure on the Sydney defence.
Yeah, it's just disappointing skill there. We look at the disposal efficiency. In 65, it feels like it's a little bit lower there for Melbourne. They're just not having any convincing ball movement, certainly across the middle of the ground, which is where they're going to set up their goals. But good to see at least Salem taking the game on there. Stretch involved in that play. 2 young players still learning the game, so good there at least having a crack.
Great one-handed pick up from Melbourne skipper there, Nathan Jones. I think he's earned himself a free kick for a high tackle here. As a matter of fact, it's just another ball up.
See Cameron Ling there on the boundary, almost getting cleaned up by the players there. Wouldn't mind a bit of contact, old Lingy.
Yeah, former Geelong Premiership captain. Now media personality in Australia. Got another ball up here on the wing. Tippett back in the ruck again. Peterson's followed him there for Melbourne. And for what feels like the 1000th time, we're going to have a throw-in, Tom.
It's not the most inspiring footy at the moment, but it's a little bit dewy. Swans still with a commanding lead. Demons looking to find a spark to get their game going.
McGlynn there fighting to get free. Nothing doing once more, and it's a bit of an arm wrestle here. Melbourne obviously don't want Sydney to get any more goals. They can't afford the lead to blow out any further. Sydney really trying to put their stamp on this. But so far, it's been a bit of a scrap for the last 5 minutes or so.
It has interesting to see both teams even on clearances, 16 to Sydney, 15 to the D's. So despite there being a lot of stoppages, both teams breaking even, but you'd have to say that when the Swans do get that clearance, it's a more convincing movement inside their forward half.
Yeah, they're much cleaner at the moment, Sydney. Vince with another clearance. Kennedy, though, was in front.
Good contest from Brayshaw there, the young player. #2 draft pick from last year. A lot of talk about he and Christian Petracca coming to the Melbourne Demons, the #3 draft pick. Petracca, unfortunately, doing an ACL and going to miss his first season on an AFL list, but Brayshaw's come in and played every game so far and made a good impact, which is great and good for Paul Roos to see.
Kurt Tippett did well there, took the front position in the ruck contest. Peterson coming from behind, caught him a bit high. Tippett gets the free kick, drives it in. Kennedy, great crumb there. Gets a handball to no one in particular. Vince in there once more, he's been lively tonight. Jones gets the ball, almost hands it to his teammate. Tyson wasn't able to break free though, and we'll have another boundary throw in. Vincent Jones, two prime movers in the midfield for Melbourne. They're getting a lot of the ball, but just not having much impact at the moment.
You're right, Jace. Vince coming out to his 11th. Jones with 9, but a lot of it has just been those quick, hurried handballs or kicks out of a stoppage trying to break free. Here it is, the Melbourne half back line again, though. This is where it's key. Nice kick there from Dunn to Billy Stretch on the wing. Stretch
has a couple of options in short. Oh, sets his teammate Vandenberg up for a big collision there. Good contest from the Swans. Laidler, I think it was, and now he's got possession. Just holds it up. Buddy Franklin wants it in long. Goes in that direction, and why not? Great mark there from Franklin. He's feeling confident against McDonald tonight. Telling his teammates to run up at him.
Play on.
They're being called to play on.
Great work there from Tommy McDonald. Really did well on the mark. He knows that Buddy tries to step a lot of his opponents and have those shots from outside 50, but just stayed smart enough not to get run around. A fantastic smother. He'll be happy with that as we see that replay of the collision between Vandenberg and Smith again. Again, just a sloppy kick there from Billy Stretch, setting a teammate up for some pain.
Franklin with possession again. That could be holding the ball. Spills out to Kennedy. Jetta, look at him break the line there. Dainty little kick, little check side. McGlynn does well, ducks under one, gets a handball out. Hanbury gets it back to Jetta, goes for the snap from 50. Surely not. Surely not. What a goal from Leroy Jetta.
A snap kick from 50 metres out. That is an extremely difficult skill to pull off, and he's just done it off one step, nonchalantly as you like. Oh, Jetta, that's just a fantastic footy there from the Swannies. And after a 10 or 15 minute struggle, Jace, of not a lot happening and a lot of stoppages, some remarkable brilliance here from Jetta. You see him screening across the...
Look at that. That's certainly player of the day there for the Jetta.
Play on.
Back in the middle, Tippett gets it out. Jones seems to be reading it quite well in the middle there. Finally, a clear centre break for Melbourne. And look at it, straight on the chest of Chris Dawes. And that's what they've been looking for all game, just a clear break from the middle. Jones read it beautifully, off Tippett's tap nonetheless. And then wheeled around, and Chris Dawes finally with some space, led perfectly to the spot and took an easy chest mark, and he has to go back and kick this goal now for Melbourne.
And back on it, just disappointing finish for Chris Dawes there.
Not good enough. He's an experienced player, former Collingwood Premiership player. But his kick has just let him down there. When you're a forward and you're not really having a good day, once you do get a chance, you've got to make the most of it. Swans look to rebound now through Shaw. Kicks it to Hanbury. He kicks it up to Buddy Franklin.
2 metres, Tom. Play on. Touch you.
This is really dangerous here for Melbourne.
Umpire's called play on his touch. Heaney still manages to get a left foot onto it.
Oh, great work there. Heaney took the mark, but it was touched off the boot. Heard the umpire's call. Got a quick left foot snap in and almost jagged a miracle goal there. And you see Dawes misses at one end, and Sydney almost made them pay immediately at the other end.
You're right, Jace. Dawes gets a bit of a gimme out of a clearance, an easy kick, easy mark, and shot a goal, and the Swans are making something out of nothing up the other end. It does make it tough if you're not taking your opportunities, but at least the Demons have been improving their ball movements. As
another risky kick, another turnover. Surely Tippett's going to make them pay. Gets it to Kennedy, snaps on his right, and that's a goal. Another goal from a turnover. Paul Roos can't believe what he's seeing. Sydney all over the Melbourne Demons here. Demons are their own worst enemy, we have to say. But that was a good finish there from Josh Kennedy. And the Swans are now out to a 39-point lead. Exercising some demons of their own. The last time the Swans played here was grand final day last year when Hawthorn were all over them to take the premiership. It's the Swans' first time back at the MCG, and they're making a much better fist of it this time.
Again, it's just the Demons' turnover that causes a goal. Easy kick there from Newton. Just Franklin making a great contest, and the Swannies just mob it up easy as you like.
See the scores from turnovers. Sydney 5 goals 4. Just not good enough from Melbourne. McGlynn gets a handball out under pressure. Mitchell with it now. Finds a teammate in space. Looks up towards Buddy Franklin. Good fist there from McDonald. Melbourne force it over for another throw-in.
He's doing a remarkable job there, Tom McDonald, from a lot of contests, a lot of one-on-one contests. The ball's coming down his end a lot. He still managed to do his best to keep it out, up to 11 possessions himself, doing a great job on a superstar, but his teammates certainly under the pump, and the likes of Tippett and McGlynn, who are really coming into the game at the moment.
And Paul Roos, Melbourne coach, has made a move by the looks of it. Jack Watts, their starting substitute. Looks like he's going to bring him on to add a little bit of flair to the Melbourne lineup. Kennedy just offline with his snap at goal. It's an interesting choice as a sub, Jack Watts. He was a #1 draft pick for Melbourne. On his day as a superstar of the competition, I think Roos has decided enough's enough, and he's going to bring him on very early here in the second quarter.
He played his 100th game last week, Jack Watts. 74 goals from those 100 games. As you said, he's enigmatic and play both ends. Not sure Roos would want to bring him on this early. It's a bit of a risk, but he may even have just been putting on a jacket to keep warm, sitting on that subs vest, who knows. But yeah, certainly the Demons do need a bit of a change at the moment. They need to find something from someone to just change the game and turn it in there.
Well, he may as well bring him on now before the game's completely lost. It's Melbourne here, just battling to get it in their forward area. Vince with a short kick, finds a man in Brayshaw. Again, it's all pretty stagnant up forward there for Melbourne. Don't know who he's going to kick to, decides to just go long. And once again, Sydney chop it off, this time through Jeremy Laidler. And it's just 2 stop-start from Melbourne. They're not a team like Sydney. You just need to run and break into space. They need to switch. They need to try something. Perhaps bringing Jack Watts on the field would be a good move this early in the game. Tough contest there.
Yeah, good from Brayshaw going back. Didn't know what was coming and copped a bit of heat from it, but good to see the young players putting their body on the line.
Yeah, gutsy stuff there. Got a bit of a knee in the glute. Jones in there fighting once more. McVeigh for Sydney. Looks like Heaney might have hurt himself in that contest. Coming back from injury last week into the side, but he looks in all sorts of trouble. Clutching his right knee there. Let's hope the young fella's all right.
I never like to see knee injuries, and just putting it in the back. I wonder whether it could be a posterior ligament that just sits there in that contest with Heaney, with Brayshaw. If it got squeezed together, there it is.
Looks like an impact there. It was his right knee that went into the hip of Brayshaw. Might have a bit of bruising in the knee. Reid fights well. Garlett in there with him, pretending to try and get the ball out. Umpire's not falling for that trick, and he pays a free kick against him for holding the ball. Sam Reid will get the free.
He's just got to be a little bit smarter there, Garlett. He's a sneaky little player, but on that occasion it was a little bit too obvious that he just really didn't want to do much with the ball. And the umpire's called a free kick here, pulled it back. Yeah,
free kick here for a trip against Sydney. Melbourne will go back and take the kick, I think.
He looks in a bit of problem there. A bit of pain at the moment. See that with the first-year players. You said he missed last week with an ankle injury. straight back in, which isn't bad if you're a first-year player for the coach to still pick you after you've missed games with injury, but just shows how highly regarded he is, held by the Sydney Swans hierarchy. And in fact, he could have been at Melbourne, Jace. He was put up as an academy selection this year. It was ranked very highly. Melbourne bid their second selection in the AFL draft, which meant that Sydney had to match it with their own first-round pick, and their pick being at 18, they were all too happy to do that, and they ended up getting him for what is widely seen as a steal, but really hope that that's not a serious injury. And you can see Adam Goods there in the subs vest sitting next to him, just getting off the bench maybe to warm up. But we'll keep an eye on that and see what we can find out.
Hanbury gets the handball out to Parker. Swans break once more. Gary Rowan sells candy once more. That's becoming his trademark. Kicks it up towards Buddy Franklin. Thought he copped one high. McDonald did really well there. Draws a free kick himself. He's tightened up a little bit here on Lance Franklin. Kicks it out wide now. Finds someone in a bit of space. Looks like Garlett. Plays on quickly. He's run down from behind. Affected the kick. Cross gets the handball out. Vandenberg, little chip kick towards Dawes. Didn't reach him on the full. Good handball there by Dawes. Switch across the ground. Garlett, one hand not doing. Sydney with the numbers. And they clear the defensive 50. Bernie Vince might keep this one in, and he does. Jones looks to launch another attack. Melbourne needs someone to fly here. Good contest from Hogan. Tackle by Garland. All sorts of pressure here. That looked like in the back on Daniel Cross. Umpire doesn't pay a free. Parker just stands up with the ball.
You see Jake Lloyd coming off the ground with a bit of a limp there again after that contest with Garlett and Jetta. The Swans, last thing they need at the moment is two players going down with injury before half-time, but hopefully it's just a corky for the young man.
There's Adam Goods on the field. They've obviously activated the sub. Heaney's out of the game. Melbourne here with a good chance. Vandenberg, quick handball. Peterson just cut off again by Sydney. Great defence. Melbourne can't buy a goal here. Goalless for the second quarter. Would you believe the only goal kicker for Melbourne is the debutant, Billy Stretch.
As you said, Jace, Goods now onto the ground, and he'll be adding some spark again to this Sydney side, but not good news for young Isaac Heaney. Doctors must be a little bit worried about that knee, and we really hope that's not a long-term injury.
Hanbury dropped the mark there. Melbourne able to clear. Heaney looks in all sorts of bother there on the bench. Ice pack on his knee.
Got an overlap here, the D's, if the Garland can get the ball on quickly.
Yeah, 5 seconds. They're going to run out of time here, Melbourne. Typical of their first half. There it is, half-time. Paul Roos got a lot of thinking to do. He's going to have to make a few changes at half-time. Sydney out to a 40-point lead here at half-time. 49-9. The Sydney Swans have really dominated this first half, and Melbourne, with only one goal, they're going to need to do a lot better in the second half.
Injury and Adam Goods come on. To our sake, you'd really hope that Lloyd isn't off for the second half because they've already had to use their sub. See him on the bench there.
Saw some beautiful vision there of the MCG, one of the world's iconic stadiums. Melbourne's home ground, but they're not really, wouldn't be feeling at home at the moment. Huge task up against them in this second half. Kennedy gets the first clearance. Only as far as Garlett. Looks like he's been moved into the middle. I think that's a good move by Paul Roos. Jeff Garlett only had one kick in the first half. They've got him on the ball to try and get a bit of liveliness in there. Sydney, though, get this clearance. McVeigh leads the foot race out there. Gets a handball back to Mitchell. Mitchell squares it up to Kennedy. Here's Buddy a long way from home. Kicks it up towards Jetta. Probably the quickest guy in the competition. He wheels around onto his right foot. Up towards Adam Goods, who's now on the field as the sub. Kennedy's wrapped up, manages to break through. Snaps it on the right. That is an unbelievable goal by Josh Kennedy. Looked like he was going to be tackled, nothing much was happening, but just showed his strength and barged through there and snapped it on the right. What a start for the Swans.
Fantastic skills there from Kennedy. I mean, he's a big, strong midfielder. He's up at around 190 centimetres, and he does get on the scoreboard as well, which is a very handy attribute that this Sydney Swan midfield group tends to do. Luke Parker last year kicking 25 from his 25 games. Kennedy already 2 for this game just after the half-time break. But they are dangerous all over the ground, the Swannies. But as you said, Jason, just a fantastic skill there from Josh Kennedy to be able to snap that from 40.
What a nightmare start here for Melbourne. Paul Roos would have really got stuck into him at half-time. He's made a few changes. Brought Garlett into the middle. I think Jack Watts might be on the field, but hasn't made any difference, unfortunately. Sydney with the first score. Melbourne trying to get a clearance, desperately trying to get a clearance.
Thank you. Straight up, boys. Look here.
From memory, they've only had one clear centre break all game so far, which resulted in Chris Dawes having a shot at goal.
Boys, come on.
Pike wins the tap again. No one really went for the ball. Kennedy Harris gets a quick kick out. Oh, Dawes dives for it, couldn't quite get it. Lands in the arms of Grundy, he gets it out to McVeigh. Plenty of time here in space. No Melbourne players coming at him whatsoever. Drives it in. A little bit too far and it's out over the boundary line.
Yeah, you're right there, Jason. Just too much time there for the Sydney players again, streaming inside 50. Couldn't quite hit up the leading player there, but the Swans have certainly found it a lot easier moving forward so far tonight.
Good. Made a passage there. He's got the ball. What can he do here? Dangerous position. Good vision, saw Jetta, but it was a very difficult kick. Reid with the handball. Buddy Franklin on the left, snaps around. Ooh, just offline. You normally back him there on the left, big buddy.
Yeah, again, Tommy McDonald right next to him. It's been a fascinating duel so far. Franklin yet to get a goal, so you'd have to give it to McDonald, but they've both been high in the possession count. He's one of those players, though, you just can't let him go at all. Can't give yourself any breathing space, so Tom McDonald's really going to have to keep himself on the top of his game for the rest of the 2 quarters that are left.
Lyndon Dunn with a long kick out of defence, but comes off hands and over the boundary line. You see Jesse Hogan there on screen, #1 draft pick for the D's. He's had a pretty good year so far in his first year, but pretty quiet tonight, you'd have to say. He's actually led the league in contested marks. Haven't seen him take too many tonight. Mitchell gets it out. Parker breaks a tackle. Brilliant work there. Centres it up towards Buddy Franklin. Great tap down to McGlynn. He's dodging, weaving, twisting, turning, gets a kick into the middle. But only as far as Bernie Vince, who's having a pretty good game tonight, actually.
He's battled hard. He's certainly got his skill levels up. He's one of the best movers of the ball in this Melbourne side. Good again there.
There's that man Hogan we mentioned before. Good run here from defence from Salem. Drives Melbourne in long. What can Garlett do at the back? Good leap. Couldn't quite contain the mark. Gets it back, has a snap over the shoulder, and he's goal. Finally, Melbourne on the scoreboard. And it's that man Garlett. Paul Roos moved him into the middle for a bit of a spark.
Get up now.
And he's definitely given him a spark, and he might have sparked something else here. A bit of a scuffle going on.
Let it go.
But boy, did Melbourne need that goal.
Absolutely. That's a little bit of magic that they were looking for. Garlett had a bit of a fly, couldn't quite take the mark, but quick as a flash, down on the ground, boots it over his head, and hopefully that gives a bit of adrenaline to this Melbourne side and gives them a bit of a roll on. They really need to get a few more of those to put any type of pressure on the Swans.
That's right. They need to string 2-3 goals in a row together here. But finally, just that little bit of excitement and energy. Jeff Garlett might have provided it there. Will his teammates latch onto it and kick it a couple more goals? But it's Sydney here with a clearance. Parker, quick clearance onto the chest of Kieran Jack. Wasn't expecting it. Gets it off to Tippett. Tippett on the right, and he's gold. What a response from the Sydney Swans. Just when you thought Melbourne was maybe going to sneak back into this game, big Kurt Tippett bobs up in the forward line and jams through his 4th goal.
Well, they've shown why they're at the top of the table for so many years, the Sydney Swans there, just absolutely unrelenting. Melbourne get a tiny little sniff with a smart kick from Garlett, and then bang, straight out of the clearance. Parker, their best and fairest from last year, gets it forward. Ball landed in Kieran Jack's face. He could have almost taken the mark himself, but instead it's Tippett that gets the crumbs and kicked for the big boy. He's pretty happy with that tonight.
Yeah, good performance from Kurt Tippett. Just shows how important a quick clearance from the centre bounce is, though. We talked about Melbourne only having one all game. Saw exactly there how effective it can be. With Sydney through Parker, straight down to Tippett. Pike wins the tap again. This time Kennedy Harris for Melbourne's first to it, but Sydney come up with the ball. Kennedy with an underground handball. Jetta elusive. Now he's on the run. This is dangerous for Melbourne. Up towards Tippett again. Over his head, Buddy Franklin. Oh, can he keep it in? He kept it in, but I think he's missed. Kicked it straight across the face of goal. Out of bounds on the full. You would have put your house on Buddy Franklin to kick a goal in that situation, but wasn't to be.
How exciting is he, though? Just uses that speed. For a bloke who's 100 kilos, 198 centimetres, just steps around McDonald and couldn't quite finish it off, but that's why we love watching him.
Melbourne, good transition here. They're up in their attacking half now. Dawes tried to use his strength, but couldn't keep the ball in play. Have a look here at Buddy Franklin. Thought he was going to collect the point post for a minute. Did really well to keep him bounce. Then couldn't quite get the ball to hit the right part of his foot and kicked it straight across the face of goal. Exciting stuff, though. Pike, another tap down. Hanbury read it well. Good pressure from Jimmy Tumpus. Unfortunately, straight off the side of the boot and out of bounds on the full.
That's it. Play on. Hold there, Jeremy. Watch it. Move it on.
Laidler now looking for options for Sydney. Decides to go short. Well, a bit longer than short to Adam Goods. Goods can't quite hit the target in Hanbury, but follows up beautifully. What a one-handed pickup by Adam Goods. Kieran Jack gets it off to Mitchell. Back to Jack. Hanbury, sorry. Back to Mitchell. Finally gets a kick in. Good mark. What a fly there from Gary Rowan. Just stuck the leg out. Probably wasn't enough pressure there for Melbourne in the end.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jay. Salem just let him trail in there and didn't put any impact on. And good mark there from Rowan.
Here he is, Buddy. He's got a sniff here. Gets a little toe poke forward. Harry Lumumba was onto it, though. Gets it off to McDonald. That's good defensive play there by the two Melbourne defenders. Still struggling to clear it. Melbourne player in there, the debutant stretch, is wrapped up by three Sydney players. Really good work by the young kid there. Took the hard ball and then just held on to it. Didn't release. There's Jimmy Tumpus onto Lumumbu. Oh, great evasive play there from Lumumbu. And a clever kick straight through the Melbourne forward's hands, though. Shaw gets it out. Melbourne clear the pressure once more.
Stay out, come out, Mike.
This is where Sydney have been good. They're just able to keep possession until they find a dangerous kick inside 50. Melbourne really need to be on their toes here. Again, just a lead-up mark from Tippett.
Far more composed, Sydney. You just see the way they move the ball. They're well drilled. They know what they're doing. Players know where to run. When Melbourne get it, you feel like everyone's standing there waiting for something to happen. And so far tonight, it hasn't been happening for them.
Yeah, they work really hard, all the Sydney players, up and down the ground. Supreme fitness. Work to create space inside 50 so that other players can lead into it. Certainly a learning experience for some of these younger Melbourne players.
Saw Lloyd there, still hobbling a little bit for the Sydney Swans. Took a knock to the ankle in the second quarter. Good contested mark there from Jesse Hogan. Melbourne fans will be hoping to see a bit more of that tonight. He's certainly an exciting prospect for the future.
Again, though, nothing forward for Hogan. He just has to slam it on the boot.
Yeah, really poor movement here from the Ds. Very scrappy play. Bull spills out. Garlett manages to get a kick forward, but it's straight on the chest of Sam Reid. Really quite uninspiring stuff from Melbourne at the moment. Sydney, on the other hand, very precise. Jetta finds Adam Goods in acres of space. He gets a handball over the top, wants it back. McVeigh says, I'm going to do this all myself. Quick kick in, and what a kick it was. Finds teammate Dan Hanbury 30 metres out directly in front, and he should go back and extend this margin for the Swans.
All class there from Jared McVeigh, but just so much time to make a decision. He went left, he went right, no one putting any pressure on. Spencer can't corral him, and classy kick though to find Hanbury, and he gets a very easy shot at goal straight out in front.
I think you nailed it there, Tom. Just not enough pressure from Melbourne whatsoever. We've talked about their forward movement being poor at best, but at an AFL level, you need far more pressure coming through the middle and in defence than what we saw there. Hanbury goes back, slots the goal. Sydney all over Melbourne here. That's now a 53-point margin. And you'd have to say they deserve it too.
Yeah, it was almost a bit of a training drill there. I mean, there'd be more pressure on the Swans at training there when they're running up the middle of the ground. Goods was just strolling, handballed off to McVeigh. He had a look around, went left, went right, and then an easy kick into an uncontested mark inside 50. So the D's with a lot of work to do. It's a long season, but they're struggling against the top sides at the moment, showing here at the MCG.
Boy, that's a great view of the MCG. View's not so good for the Melbourne fans when they look at the scoreboard. This really is a pretty big lead here for the Sydney Swans. Peterson there gets the tap down, but it's McGlynn that's in there first. Parker gets the handball out. Jimmy Toumpas can't quite get it. Finally gets a handball out to cross. Bit of a nothing kick up in the air. Good contest. Finally out to Jones. There's a little bit of run there from Vandenberg, but he left without the ball. Garlick cleans up. Shimmies round onto the left. That's a nice little kick there back to Vandenberg. Sees a man in the middle in Vince. Vince just ran under the ball a bit there. And Sydney with a quick rebound. And we've seen all night how dangerous this can be for Melbourne. Here we see McGlynn, 52 metres out from goal, takes an easy mark. Sydney players streaming forward.
Yeah, Rowan still in space. Great kick.
Great run there from Gary Rowan too. Streamed through the middle, ran around the back through the forward line.
That's it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, you've called it, Jace. Just a lot of space again. I mean, Rowan is an absolute speedster, but we could see him come across the top of the screen, came all the way from the wing in front of Toumpas, and a whole inside 50 to be able to find some space for it, unlike the Melbourne Demons when they've got just Sydney Swans defenders blocking it up every time they try and look inside 50.
Yeah, it's chalk and cheese at the moment, these two teams. As Gary Rowan lines up. Not a bad kick, but leaves it out to the left. He'll be a bit disappointed with that, Rowan. Sydney, though, 54-point margin halfway through the third quarter. Dunn's going to line up the big torpedo kick again. He's nailing them today. That is a huge kick up to the centre circle almost. Melbourne can't do much with it. It's Sydney that come up with the ball through Richards. He swings it out on the left. No one in particular out there. Cross spilled what he probably should have taken. Gets tackled over the boundary line. But that spark we talked about earlier that we thought Garlick might have provided has certainly died off for Melbourne. Doesn't seem to be much team spirit out there at the moment. And still Jack Watts sits on the bench as a sub. Touched off the boot, so no mark there to Jones. Salem emerges with it. Tries to break a line with a bit of run. Then a nice long kick. Spills down through Hogan's leg. He lays a tackle on Grundy. Again, the Swans managed to get it out of there. Grundy's kick spoiled by Vandenberg. We'll have another boundary throw in.
We just said there, Jason, Swans just managed to get it out of there each time, but the Melbourne's tackles just aren't quite sticking. The Swans are able to get their arms up, get a release handball and create some space. Every time the Demons player's under pressure, they're just getting absolutely nailed by multiple Swans, and it just ends up being a ball up.
We've seen a few of these today. Umpire coming in for a ball up. We see the disposal count here. Sydney 252 to 200. Well on top, winning the contested possessions as well. And that's certainly reflected on the scoreboard. It's Garlett, wheels on the left, drives it into a dangerous spot. Reid and Grundy did well there. But here we go, Vandenberg off the ground, hit the post. Unlucky there.
Good pressure from Vandenberg. Would have been a one for the highlights reel again, but a bit of spark for the D's, just not quite enough to get it through the middle sticks.
Still not much system about that forward entry. It's just a bit of a kick and hope from Garlett. See that efficiency there. Sydney well on top of Melbourne, as they have been all night.
It was a reflection of the season. The D's are ranked last in the AFL for their disposal efficiency, and unfortunately, again, we've seen that on display. Passing them in that respect every time they move the ball.
Kieran Jack beat two Melbourne opponents there. Neither of them could lay a finger on him. Kennedy does the same, snaps around on the left. Saw a teammate up near the goal square, but couldn't get it far enough, and Melbourne managed to chop it off. This is a bit of a better rebound here from Melbourne. They find Jesse Hogan up on the wing. Just breaking down at this point, though. Should chip it over here. He's got a couple of players on. Can't hit the target. That's just symbolic of the night that Melbourne are having.
It's too sloppy there from Hogan. He had two teammates. He took one step, tried to nail it off one step, and he's ended up missing what was otherwise an easy hit-up kick. It's sloppy football. And Paul Roos will be really disappointed as we see Jack Watts potentially being injected into this game.
He's teased us a couple of times tonight, so let's wait till we see him on the ground. There's the other sub, Adam Goods. Beautiful long kick on the left. Franklin always dangerous in this situation. What can he do here? Runs past the ball. Garland cleans it up, but straight back to Goods. Great attack on the ball by Goods. Rowan took too long. That's holding the ball. Finally, some good defensive pressure from the Demons.
Absolutely right there. Jen Franklin on McDonald. Goods on Toumpas. And then finally a great second effort there from the Melbourne defender in Garland to get Rowan holding the ball, but that'll put a smile on Paul Roos's face.
No, I don't know if it'll put a smile on his face. Not tonight. Sam Reid there, just too big and strong in that contest. Takes a mark, gets it on. McVeigh now running through the wing. Low precision kick, finds Ben McGlynn just inside 50. And the Swans again show how it should be done. McGlynn can line up and take a shot here, looking for options. And he's found one. Look at that, in almost 20 metres of space. Luke Parker, how does that happen? Lumumbu's asking whose man is he? That's just not good enough on the whole by the Melbourne team.
No, we just saw marks inside 50, 9-2. Inside 50s himself huge, and I think it's been Peterson there. He's been subbed off. So it'll be interesting to see if Watts ends up having to do a bit of the backup ruckman work if Peterson's come off, as we see Parker just slot it straight through the middle for the Swannies again. Extend their lead. Bit of a procession here at the moment, Jace.
There it is, Sydney all over the Melbourne Demons right now. This is a huge, huge lead. I can't imagine even putting Jack Watts in the game that Melbourne are going to threaten Sydney from here. Like shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic, bringing him on. There he is, getting amongst it straight away. I'd be angry too if I had to sit and watch my teammates play like this. Let's see what he can do now that he's on the field. One of the most exciting players in the AFL, Jack Watts. He'll have a point to prove now.
Here we go. Like a man with intent as he stands and looks onto the wing, but he's got a hell of a lot of work to do if he's going to make any impact.
Spencer wins the hit out over Tippett. Doesn't seem to matter though. The Melbourne players weren't really reading off him there.
Thanks, boys. Thanks, mate. Thanks, mate. Ronnie.
There's Reece Shaw for Sydney. He doesn't mind a bit of a dust up either. Learned a few tricks in his Collingwood days. There's that man, Jack Watts, straight into the thick of it. Clever right foot kick there. But that man, sure that he was just tussling with Cut It Off. Still fighting for the ball. Melbourne emerge with it through Garlett. What can he do here? 2-on-1 to Sydney.
Jesse,
And
hold,
that's,
Jess, hold. Thank you.
That's an easy mark there for Grundy.
Great team defence there from the Swans there. You just saw Rich as it was just blocking his man to make an easy mark. Fantastic teamwork, and that's what they're known for.
Yeah, it's always going to be tough for young Hogan in that situation.
Play on. Play on.
He's a good young talent, but going to be tough for him to beat two experienced campaigners on his own there. There's Watts again, gets it on to Vince, back to Watts. This is in range for him. Good little shimmy. Oh, a little bit too slow, got run down from behind. He's back on it once more. Sydney clear, Kennedy once again. There's Lloyd. Plenty of time for young Lloyd, dodgy ankle and all. Just kicks it up to a Melbourne player there in Hogan.
Move it on.
And he'll drive them into their forward 50 once more. Grundy just too strong there. Nudged his player under the ball and took another easy chest mark.
Dawes having a bit of a battle out there. He's only up to 4 possessions, 2 marks. Not what Paul Roos needs from one of his key forwards. Jeremy Howe also 6 possessions and no marks to the game. Jesse Hogan been a bit of a shining light in the Melbourne forward line, but not enough to get them over the line.
Vandenberg with a bit of time. Once again, can't find a target. Kennedy Harris had some space, but he just couldn't hit him. The best Melbourne can manage is another boundary throw-in.
Kennedy Harris also just going at 2 possessions, no marks to the game so far, so a very quiet night for the Melbourne forwards.
Yeah, too many passengers tonight, Melbourne. Spencer wins it down. Pretty good crumb there by Tyson, but no room to move. Sydney are very good at blocking up the spaces. Jones got one high there. Melbourne fans pleading, give us something, umpire. Mercy. But nothing doing from the umpire, and we'll have another ball up. It's an absolute bath there in the centre, inside 50s. 45 to 22 to Sydney. And we've had big stretches of the game where it hasn't even been inside Melbourne's forward half at all.
Yeah, it certainly tells the tale of the night so far. D's with the chance here, but they just don't have any convincing movement at the moment. If they do, it's almost a random clearance like this one to Tyson, but...
Yeah, quick snap there by Tyson, but Sydney had a goalkeeper there in Laidler. Another player gone down, clutching their knee. Bit of a torrid game on the injury front so far.
Doesn't look good for Tyson. I wonder if he just got hit as he kicked that ball. It was on his left foot that he kicked. Obviously got some heavy strapping on that knee, but he looks like he's in a lot of pain and not moving very quickly at all.
Unfortunately, Melbourne just used their sub also, so they can't sub him out of the game. If he's out injured, they'll be 1 man short for the rest of the match. They look to mount another attack here, the D's. Salem.
He's almost on here, Tyson.
On there, Josh.
He's got the ball. Tyson probably doesn't want it right now. You can see there he really didn't want to kick. Hands it off to Vandenberg. Not a great kick, but Kennedy Harris actually did really well for a little guy there. Nudged out the bigger Grundy and took an easy chest mark deep in the forward pocket for Melbourne. Ooh, just landed awkwardly there, Tyson. He's gone straight down the race to get some treatment from the medical staff.
Yeah, yes, no, my call. It's my call.
Tough kick here for Kennedy Harris. Too tough. Just scraped that in for a minor score. Takes Melbourne on to 2 goals, 5-17. But the Swans well in front of this game. Shaw now runs onto the loose ball. Too easy once more for the Swans. Drives it up forward. That's a great kick towards Kennedy. Good fist in there from Bernie Vince. Forced a boundary throw in. But just that quick movement out of defence, Melbourne aren't able to lock it in their forward line and put the Swans under any sort of pressure.
Yeah, the Swans seem to be able to move it away 50, 60 metres away from their defensive 50 with absolute ease, that long kick. Whereas the Demons, nearly every single time, it's taken them 2 or 3 possessions just to get to the wing. Dan Hanbury just saying hello to Daniel Cross. Having a pretty good game himself there, Dan Hanbury. Averages 27 possessions against the D's and generally has a pretty good night out.
Saw Watts there, third man up. Big fist trying to make something happen. Jared McVeigh there on screen with the beard, co-captain. See, John Longmire's made a bit of a switch here. He's put Ted Kennedy down to full forward for the Swans. Probably just experimenting a little bit. See who can play where. Rowan now to Franklin. Looking for Ted Richards down at full forward. He'd let out. You can see he's not a natural forward there. And Lumumbu clears out of defence.
Moving on, play on.
Another player down here for the Swans, Dan Hanbury this time. Looks like an ankle.
More of attrition at the moment.
Yeah, they're dropping like flies here at the MCG. Dawes playing in front of Grundy, but Grundy wraps him up really well there.
Looks like he's in a serious amount of strife there, Dan Hanbury. I wonder, just looked like he was holding the ankle as well. Whether it was a knock or whether he rolled it, but not good news there for Longmire. Certainly when the game's pretty much iced as it is now, the last thing he wants is for some of his key players to go down injured.
Free kick here for Melbourne. Looks like it's going to the big ruckman, Spencer. Both teams have used both of their subs, so quick kick in, good crumb here. That could be a goal for the D's. Finally, Ben Newton there, the former Port Adelaide player, puts one on the board.
A great crumb there by Newton. He kicked it on his non-preferred right foot. And we saw him in a really good position, front and centre, and quick as a flash, snuck it through the big sticks with only a minute left on the scoreboard. But just seeing Dan Hanbury now getting a little bit of attention on either an ankle or a foot injury. Perhaps John Longmire's got a little bit of room up his sleeve now. They're out to such a long margin, Jace, to even say to Dan Hanbury, well, maybe we might just not risk you in this last quarter. We might get a...
Here we go. Thanks, Dan.
Oh, and there it is. The ankle just got knocked by Daniel Cross's knee there as he fell to the ground. Again, that looks like an acute injury. That's going to hurt tomorrow.
Sure will. Melbourne, can they get 2 goals in a row for the first time tonight? Garlett, that's a good clearance.
3 metres back, Sam! You!
Hits up Newton. Newton turns around quickly. Oh, that is a great mark. Jesse Hogan. What a talent this kid is.
I know, I'm just saying, he's worked
Finally, a bit of excitement for the Melbourne fans here at the MCG.
Jess, here, mate.
This kid really is an excitement machine. Look at this, 1, 2, being held on the other arm, but doesn't bother him. He'll go back and try and kick his first goal for the night and give the D's 2 in a row.
Well, how good's that? You saw Angus Brayshaw, the one that kicked it to him, the #2 draft pick last year, and young Jesse Hogan, who's the #1 draft for a couple of years as well, and 2 superstars, hopefully, for the Melbourne team for the next 10 years.
Good finish there from Hogan.
And then they are celebrating together. That's what Melbourne fans will be wanting to see, at least some little glimpses out of some players that will hopefully be around at the club and be part of this building phase. You'd really hope that they can get these players as the core for the next 10 years. There'll be a lot of pressure, you would think, from some of the bigger clubs trying to get players like Hogan and Brayshaw and Christian Salem across, given that they might not have prospects of success in the next year or two. But Paul Roos and his staff are doing everything they can. That's just fantastic skill from Jesse Hogan. You can't teach that in the textbooks. And just slots it through as easy as you like.
They've got some good young players, Melbourne. Don't forget they've got young Viney out injured, Jack Trengrove out for the season. 2 real gun young midfielders there. Bring them back into the side, it might be a different story. Pike wins that tap. Oh, Melbourne. Just when it looked like they're going to start stringing some goals together, the siren goes.
His left knee got a little bit more when he came off the ground, and at the 3/4 time break, he's starting on the bench. Looks like he's going to have a crack at getting back out there.
Yeah, nice work, Lingy. It's been a bit of carnage out there tonight, Richo. We're very happy that Isaac Heaney, the news appears to be good there, but lots and lots.
Here we go, start of the fourth quarter. Spencer up against Pike again. Jones gets the crumb, but immediately wrapped up by... And we'll have the familiar side of the umpire throwing the ball up once more. Third man up there was Parker. Got it down to Kennedy. And that's it. We'll say a lucky kick onto Tippett's chest. Hands it off quickly to Rowan. Rowan streams into goal. Really clever play there from Kurt Tippett. Gary Rowan's a speedster. Just running a bit too fast perhaps then, and couldn't quite straighten up and finish with a goal.
Oh, well, Demons straight under pressure again, Jason, to start this fourth quarter.
Yeah, familiar tale. Sydney with the centre break. Then Melbourne just struggling to get anywhere back near their forward line. Lumumbu didn't do too badly there. Dawes looks to be hobbling a bit. Garlett. Show us some pace, Garlett. Here he goes. He could run into an open goal here. And he's missed it. He'll be so disappointed in that. Looked to be coasting in towards goal. Perhaps he was coasting and didn't pay enough attention to actually finishing the job. Margin back to 46 points. Gary Rowan just chips it back there to Jared McVeigh. McVeigh switches play to the other side of the ground. Teddy Richards kicks it out into space. Foot race here. But the ball takes a funny old bounce and skews off out of bounds. And right in front of the interchange bench.
I was going to say, young Billy Stretch just looked like he was blowing pretty hard there, Jace, following that ball down. His first game AFL football, the pace is a lot faster than what he would have experienced in the SANFL and the VFL. It'll be interesting to see if he can run this game out in the fourth quarter.
Holding, Sydney, draw the jumper.
Free kick here in the contest. Mike Pike will take it. What a story Mike Pike is. Former national representative for the Canadian rugby team. Decided he wanted to give Aussie rules football a crack. Came over to Australia, and the Sydney Swans trained him up, showed him how to play the game, and now he's a premiership ruckman and one of the best players in the competition. Jack shrugs off a tackle. Good spoil there by Garland, just when it looked like McGlynn was going to take a mark. We'll have a throw in deep in the forward pocket for the Sydney Swans.
Yeah, it's a great story, Pike. If any of our viewers got some spare time, there's a fantastic video on YouTube of him scoring a huge running try against the New Zealand All Blacks in his Canadian days, and still wearing the white and the red now in the Sydney Swans Guernsey. It's a great story. That's
right. Shows all those rugby players out there that can have a crack at Aussie rules, and who knows what might happen. It's Kurt Tippett there, an ex-basketballer himself. We're bringing him in from all sports, Tom.
Yeah, it is what's great about the Australian natural game. It does bring players with athletic attributes from all around the world and all around different sports that different skills can mesh together for this game. Big and small, fast and slow. Everyone can fit in.
There's one of the little fellas, Kennedy Harris. Got his kick smothered. Good work there by Hanbury. He looks to have recovered from his ankle knock earlier. Melbourne really need to get something out of this last quarter. There's no point just coasting through the next 17 minutes. They need to start building toward next week. No doubt they're going to have a tough week on the track. Adam Goods read it beautifully. Good smother there from Lumumbu. Gets it back. Goods wraps him up. Those two are right in amongst it. And we'll have yet another ball up. Perhaps not the best advertisement of the Aussie rules game tonight, Tom, but...
You're right, Jace. You can see every single player on the field in that front half of the ground. Which for Melbourne, if they can get a quick break, might be able to release a player running over the top, but Swans still just able to find space inside 50 to get some clear possession. Maybe not quite now. Great tackle by Cross. In fact, over the net.
Yeah, he's caught him high there, Daniel Cross. Tackle just slipped up over his shoulders. He's not happy about the decision.
It's got to be a legal tackle.
We'll see here. Ooh, bit of a late headlock. I think that's what he's paid it for.
That's your line.
Parker will go back and line up for goal. Just been a dirty night all round for Melbourne. See Parker there lining up for his 21st kick. Oh, and he's hit the post. 1 goal, 2 tonight for Luke Parker. Looked good off the boot, that one, but just drifted in and hit the woodwork.
He really is one of their top-line midfielders now, Luke Parker. Went from being a bit of a bit player in round 1 last year, not quite having cemented his spot, to winning the Bob Skilton medal by the end of 2014. Some saying very unlucky not to be an All-Australian, and just shows his class here tonight with another 20 possessions, a couple of goals, or a couple of shots on goal at least.
See another turnover here from Melbourne. Spencer did some good work, the ruckman, but his skipper let him down actually, turned it back over. Lloyd gets a kick in. There's Kurt Tippett. Good spoil from behind. Tippett still in there fighting for the ball. Good to see the big fella down on the ground like that, doing the dirty work. Melbourne finally clear the congestion. Once again, though, Sydney keep them under pressure the whole way up the field. Dawes gets a handball out.
Too high. Yeah.
Looked to be a good tackle initially from Franklin, but just caught him high.
Just got him over the shoulder. Right there. Push out.
The Melbourne player will go back, Jeremy Howe, and take a free kick. He's been very quiet tonight, Howe. Normally a bit of a human highlight reel. This will be the first week in a while he hasn't taken a mark a year contender.
All right, Jay, still just on 7 possessions, 0 marks. Very unlike him.
Here goes Melbourne through the middle now. Newton just can't find a player in the forward line. Good handball off by Garland to Watts. Watts, dainty little chip over, and he's found Kennedy Harris on the lead. Clever little kick there from Watts. And that was probably one of the best forward movements for Melbourne we've seen today, but that's not really saying much.
Yeah, right, you saw Newton here, he had a bit of space, missed the kick unfortunately, but Garland good enough to shrug a tackle, and Watts just had the clear head just to pop it over the top. Stretch could have almost dropped into that as well, but Kennedy Harris with a nice mark on the lead.
Saw Kennedy Harris spray one in the last quarter. What's he going to do here? Better off the boot, but out to the right. Another behind. You need more. You need your small forwards to convert in that situation, but probably doesn't matter too much now for the Demons. They trail by 46 points. McVeigh called to play on. Dodges around Garland on the mark. Sells himself into a little bit of trouble, and probably happy to see it go over the boundary line in the end. Has a bit of a chuckle. You can afford to when you're 46 points up in the last quarter. Ooh, almost a good crumb there by Garland.
Go through.
Franklin wrapped up Kennedy Harris, and we'll have another ball up.
So you can see Franklin all the way up the ground there. He's been a little bit quiet in this quarter, so maybe just trying to get himself into the game, especially now that Goods can play that forward role as well.
Kennedy, Franklin, McDonald strips him of the ball, dodges 5-6 to Sydney players. Ran into all sorts of trouble. Now Garland with the ball. Just kicked it blindly towards the goals, and once again Laidler on the line playing the goalkeeper role, chops it off.
I think Tony McDonald's eyes were bulging there at the chance to kick a goal. Franklin's still on 0.
Very audacious play there from the young McDonald. Ran the full gauntlet of Sydney players. A bit like the old Gladiator TV show there. Did okay, but unfortunately Garland wasn't able to do much with the handball. Now Sydney driving it back towards the centre wing through Reid. Good fly there from Rowan. Rowan mots up his own crumb, gets it back from Franklin. Looks in the middle, this could be chopped off. Just fumbled there by the Melbourne player. Could be costly, and it just over Tippett's head. Looked like he was going to gobble that one up. Melbourne let off the hook.
Lewis Holt, thank you. Line still.
Garlett gets a quick chip down to Jimmy Toumpas there.
Still just static across this half-back line for Melbourne. McDonald's got 20 metres of space, but nothing easy to kick to by the looks of it. Backs himself, pinpoint pass, great kick to Vince.
Yeah, that was better from McDonald. They really need to pick their way through this Sydney zone.
Oh, there, Lewis.
Just wait for something to open up. instead of bombing it blindly like they have been all game. Switches across the cross. Cross finds Lumumbu. He puts the skates on. Ooh, just couldn't clear the Sydney player. Didn't matter though. Newton kicks it onto Dawes. Dawes has to finish here. And he does. Clever little right foot check side. Finally, Chris Dawes on the scoreboard. That was better from the Demons. They bring it back to a 40-point margin.
Yeah, it's good. The pace from Lumumba there, just took it on. Knew he had Franklin behind him, but still managed to get a couple of extra steps in, a quicker kick. It was a bit scrappy, but Newton even sort of cramped up on his wrong side for a left footer. Good enough to hit Dawes, and a classy finish, Dawes. He's under a bit of pressure from McVeigh there, but he has had a quiet night, so as you said, very happy to get on the scoreboard and get some sort of impact on tonight's game.
That run from Lumumbu really helped, but it's good to see the Demons just a bit more patient with possession there, and paid off in the end with a Dawes goal. Vince gets it off the pike hit out. Bit of a bicycle kick. Sydney player absolutely collected. Reece Shaw takes the advantage. Swans on the break here. Just over the head of McGlynn. Absolutely upends the Melbourne player in Garland. Garland recovers, gets a handball out. Goods, what can he do here? Bumped off the kick. Back to Goods now. He kicks it into the dangerous position. Good crumb there by McVeigh. Gets a handball to Big Pike. The Canadian, oh, he's hit the woodwork. That would have been a great goal there for Mike Pike, and he's a bit disappointed to have missed out.
You might not see it on the replay there, but sloppy defending from the Demons there. Was a Watson come off his man to go and sort of stand in no man's land. Meanwhile, Shaw was able to get the rebound off the spoil, handball to Pike, and give Pike a release opportunity to kick a goal. It's got to be a little bit tighter in that defensive 50 position there, the Demons, especially when the ball's coming in so often.
Here's Salem again. He's been impressive tonight, young Salem. He's probably the one player who's given them a bit of run from the back line. I think he's their leading possession getter at the moment with 22. Vince now gets the handball off to Tyson, drives him in long. But just outworked there. Billy Stretch probably out-muscled a little bit by the Sydney player.
Yeah, playing on the All-Australian Nick Smith there, who's had a fantastic game playing on Garland.
Oh, shocking turnover there by Reece Shaw. Jesse Hogan just read the play beautifully, cut it off. He'll be pretty happy with that. He's had a quiet night, but he'll go back and line up for his second goal. There's Jack Watson, Reece Shaw once more, resuming hostilities.
Is it a quiet night, Shaw? He's only on the 9 possessions. Usually more prolific coming off that half-back line wingman, and not sure if Jack Watts should be saying too much considering he's been starting on the bench, but
well, he's probably got a bit of frustration to get out of the system. Hogan offline there. He's a really talented key forward. You'd expect him to kick that, but it's just not happening tonight. There he is against Shaw. Shaw's running, looking to make amends, but it's Kieran Jack with the ball streaming down the outer wing. 4 bounces, kicks it into the forward line towards Goods. Well done there by Dunn playing in front. Gets a handball back from Jones. Good, chased him down though. That was pretty good play all round. I think Goodsy might have copped one there in the face for his troubles.
Keep that distance.
Oh, he copped the knee right in the gut. Quick kick out by Vince. Must have been kicking to his mum in the crowd, I think, though, because that's out of bounds on the fall. Those Melbourne fans look remarkably happy. Not too much to cheer about on the field for him tonight. Shaw called to play on, so he kicks it backwards. Sydney will be happy to just run the clock down here, I think. Still got loose men, though. There's Chris Dawes. That's a good mark back in defence. Not sure if he's been moved back into defence or he's just followed the play down there.
Yours.
Melbourne look to launch an attack. Dunn put Salem under all sorts of pressure.
Great tackle from Reid.
Very good tackle, just pinned him by the arm. Didn't let him get a handball out. Bit unlucky there, Salem. Reid drives it in long. Tippett with the contest, spills out. Did that come off McGlynn's foot? I don't think the goal umpire's too sure, actually. I think that came off the Melbourne defender.
I just like to check that was a pitch. Score review.
They've called for the
Goal
review.
umpire's call is touch behind. Please confirm.
It's come off McGlynn's
Come on, Tom, be reasonable.
knee.
Nah, it's
just
come
the
off
thigh.
Garland there.
Because the goal
Garland
umpire's
then
made
onto
that call. The
McGlynn's
score
thigh, so I think
review
touch
always
is the right call.
discusses each one.
Yeah, come off his thigh. Needs to hit below the knee for it to be counted as a kick.
Confirmed touch behind.
So the goal umpire was right there.
Not sure what the crowd boos about when they have those video reviews.
Yo,
I think it might be the Melbourne fans booing their team, to be honest.
push in the back.
Bit of a nudge out there from Kurt Tippett.
Back here. Stay there.
No advantage there for Melbourne, and they'll go back and take the free kick to Jake Spencer.
Play on.
He handles off straight away to Garland.
Do konce jasného utkání. Jeden z nejjednodušších marků, jaké mohou být, teď prožil Richards.
Play on, got 15. Line man, play on.
Franklin. Parker.
Behind. Still, mate. Now you. Work over.
McDonald. Napadnutý Poc. McDonald. A zase Sydney tlačí na rozehrávku. Rázem hráči Melbourne jsou
Move it on. Play on.
u vlastní branky.
Hold there, lads. Play on.
Barney Vince rozehrál.
Right there. Play on.
McDonald.
Thanks, Sam. Play on. You. Play on.
Garland nespracoval míč, který před ním skočil.
Michael.
Nathan Jones.
Yours. Hold. Hold. Play on. Play on.
Hezky odzadu, ale taky hodně rychle. Čeká rozhodčí McDonald.
Shut him. Righty, boys. Keep your distance. Play on.
Hogan a Jetta, ten menší byl úspěšnější. A tak Sydney může zakládat další útok. Jít dopředu i zezadu.
Sweet.
Žonglování mu vyšlo, stejně jako přihrávka na Franklina, že by se Murray nakonec dočkal té poslední části hry.
Tom, can't shoot me here.
Ještě jednou cirkusový akt
Lads.
se Murray jde.
Around 2 more meters. Sweet. That's it, Bernie. No, no,
Tady
no, no.
netradičně na něj přihrál Richardsovi, který to nemá zase tak o tolik blíž, než by měl Franklin. Šec patří mezi sváteční střelce a teď ukázal proč.
Viděli jsme, že má skoro 250 zápasů a 32 gólů a 32 let.
Melbourne.
5 minut dělí Sydney od přerušení. Čekání na vítězství. 2 porážky v řadě budou zapomenuty a labutě budou moci koukat dopředu. Stále je ještě relativně začátek sezóny, hrajeme 6. kolo, ale AFL je soutěž, ve které když 3x, 4x prohrajete v řadě, tak se to strašně těžko nabírá zpátky. Do playoff jde tradičně 8 týmů z 18, takže nějaká 50% úspěšnost je na postup do playoff málo. Tohle vypadalo nadějně a nadějně to také skončilo. Garlett se zorientoval, vykopl do velké výšky a hlavně přesně. Přeci jen těch 44 bodů už nevypadá tak tristně jako 8 nebo 17. Na těchto hodnotách jsme poměrně nedávno byli, co se týká skóre Melbourne. Geelong, Hawthorn, Carlton a Gold Coast, taková je příští nabídka u Sydney, hlavně proti Hawthornu to bude velký šlágr, byť Hawthorn také už 2krát v letošní sezóně prohrál. S Port Adelaide a Essendem v jednom případě o 2, ve druhém o 6 bodů. Takže to trošku srovnává Sydney a Hawthorn. V loňské dlouhé sezóně ten začátek je, řekněme, ne úplně 100%. Ale zajíci se budou počítat později, teď je důležité pohybovat se nahoře kolem 4. místa a časovat formu na doby důležité. Hogan natál se a zasloužil si další gól. 2 parádní trefy upravují výsledek a ta ztráta je 30bodová.
Jesse Hogan, stejně jako McDonald, jeho kolega, mohou být mezi těmi hráči, kteří se nemusí za dnešní výkon stydět. McDonald dnes opět potvrdil to, co se o něm letos říká, že se hodně zlepšil a v té statistice narušení útoků stále patří první příčka v lize, takže Melbourne má obranu, na které může stavět, ale ten útok je zatím tristní. Sydney si dělá v tuto chvíli, co chce. Kuc to možná nemyslel jako přihrávku. No a tak si zavzpomíná na svoji dávnou dobu, kdy hodně často spolupracoval s Jetou a ten zkoušel zakončit. Nic hrozného, ale krev přece jenom teče a Vandenberg musí za postranní čáru kvůli pravidlům.
Bude to rozdíl třídy. Chvilku to vypadalo, že by to mohlo být ještě drsnější. Ale Sydney hrálo úsporný fotbal, řekněme od 50. minuty. Ten vrchol výkonu přišel na rozhraní druhé a třetí čtvrtiny, kdy to skutečně od labutí byla pekelná jízda. Hraje se dál. Henneberry. Tohle nebude Mark. Bráněný byl Lloyd. Rozhoz sudí. Určí další pokračování závěrečných minut utkání. Ještě jedna rána. A opět behind. 16. Přitom Sydney jako jedno nebylo zas tak produktivní v dnešním zápase. 11 gólů. Není ukázkou té nejlepší kvality, co se týká zakončení. Ale stačilo to bohatě. Čeká Vince, ale rozhodčí už ho popohánějí. Jsou přísní i v době, kdy do konce zápasu zbývají 2 minuty. Tumpas. Teď jakoby Melbourne čekalo na závěr utkání. Zase Tumpas. Tahle rozehrávka byla asi nejhorší, jaká mohla být. Adam Goods ještě centruje. Nakonec zakončil, bylo to něco mezi. Nehamoudnil. Gol zadarmo pro Adama Goodse. Swans odskakují na 38 bodů.
Zatím, co tady, to je výsledek podle papírových předpokladů a před chvílí jsme hovořili o Hawthornu, o jeho startu. A jak už 2krát prohrál, tak to už je neplatí, protože se zrodil další překvapivý výsledek letošní sezóny, kdy Giants, tedy Greater Western Sydney Giants, porazili Hawthorn 108-98.
A to znamená, že GWS mají 4. výhru a přeskakují Hawthorn.
A k tomu se ještě přidává další překvapivý výsledek, kdy Kilda dokázala o 7 bodů porazit zatím letošní suverény Western Bulldogs. Další zajímavý výsledek z Etihad Stadium. Krásně nám to tak zamotává situaci mezi nejlepšími 8 týmy a jediný tým, který zatím nejenom, že nestratil příčku, ale také si vede velmi dobře v obraně i v útoku, je Fremantle, který příliš týmům nedaruje. Adelaide Crows také pokračují v dobré sezóně, dokázali porazit Gold Coast Suns dnes na Metrican Stadium zhruba o 40 bodů.
Mimochodem GWS za 3 sezóny vyhrálo 9 zápasů a teď po 6 kolech 4 výhry. Takže už teď to můžeme označit za suverénně nejlepší start do sezóny. A rýsuje se nejlepší sezóna v krátké historii Western Sydney. A třeba i boj o playoff. Jsme v poslední minutě, ta se odehrává na polovině Melbourne. Pohodlná výhra. Asi nic jiného se nedá výstižněji říci k triumfu Sydney. Ještě jedna přihrávka do 50 a dost možná uvidíme ještě jeden gól. Jedno zakončení určitě, čas i když proběhne, tak po marku se dá zakončit. Nakonec to vypadá, že Kennedy dostane ještě tu poslední příležitost. Teď už jde jen o rozdíle skóre. Kennedy nakopává, Mark to nebude. Bude, ale obraný je konec. 88-50. Jasné vítězství. Sydney Swans nad Melbourne. Tady favorit nezaváhal.
Trenér Paul Roos určitě nebude spokojený s tím výkonem, který dnes na hřišti MCG předvedl Melbourne. Bude mít o čem přemýšlet v dalších kol.